It's now my pleasure to introduce Reverend Kathleen Patton. Reverend Patton has served as an Episcopal priest at St. Stephen's Episcopal Church in Longview, Washington for 14 years. She joins with residents there saying, in her words, hell no to the proposed coal export terminal there, and works to support spiritual and moral backbone for climate activism around the region and within the faith community. She received her Master's of Divinity from the Church Divinity School of the Pacific and was ordained in the Diocese of California in 1990. She's an incredible woman, and it's my pleasure to introduce her. Please join me in welcoming Mother Patton to the stage.
This is a big room. A few years ago, when I learned that Millennium Bulk Terminals was siting an enormous coal export facility in my little town of Longview, Washington, on the Columbia River, I had an overwhelming feeling of anger and hopelessness. It seemed to me that the shameless and cynical greed of big coal had targeted our economically depressed town, knowing that we would not and could not stand against the promise of even a few meager jobs. Out of the blue, I got this phone call from Joelle Robinson of Climate Solutions. Woohoo! And she put me in a position to express this anger I felt and to allow me to publicly say no to this monstrous proposal. No to coal that would create hell for us, polluting the Columbia and fouling the air of the vulnerable people who live alongside those tracks in our town and many like them. No to the carbon that would add to the greenhouse effect as it burned in Asia. No to the moral humiliation that comes from accepting a devil's bargain for a few jobs. Because of that connection, I learned that the antidote to despair is action. And the antidote to isolation is connection. And I also learned that Climate Solutions provides powerful tools to people who are ready to act and to connect. So now, I am still angry, but I don't feel hopeless, and I don't feel helpless. I now believe that big coal and big oil have brought the struggle to exactly the right place. Here in the Pacific Northwest, we have the spirit and we have the heart to take a stand against the glut of fossil fuel that they desperately want to funnel through our Columbia Gorge. Even in Longview, thanks to powerful organizers like Climate Solutions, we were able to marshal a sea of red Power Past Coal t-shirts to oppose the coal terminal at the EIS scoping hearings. I saw a change of heart in my mill town as our newspaper actually switched positions. And the City Council voted to recommend an extensive environmental impact study, this in Longview. Climate change is without doubt the moral issue of our century. The time is now for us to grow up as a species, to evolve spiritually beyond our childish ways, to awaken to our connection to this planet, and to humbly assume our rightful place as participants in the graceful, carefully balanced dance of Earth. We need to recognize and welcome our true self-interest. Self with a capital S, the larger self that encompasses all creation. To do this vital work, we need leaders to guide, unite, and empower us. People who connect the dots between Bellevue and Vancouver, Grays River and Seattle, Longview and the coal fields of the Copper River Basin. People with political wisdom and technical savvy who give us the tools to say no to fossil fuel and yes, yes, yes to a sustainable future. I am here to testify. I am here to acknowledge the significant role that Climate Solutions has had in my own life and in my community, sparking hope, offering strategies, inspiring action. I ask you to support them as they continue that work among us throughout the Northwest. In my religious world, we don't talk about donations. We talk about offerings. An offering is a gift of the heart, a sign of our lives made available to a higher purpose, a sacrament, if you will. We will not address climate change with mere donations. We must engage from the imagination and from the soul. We must combat greed with heart. We must fight blindness with generosity. So I challenge you today to open your hearts and your wallets to support this organization as they struggle and lead us in the struggle against the powers of greed in the great moral challenge of our day. Make an offering today, so that Climate Solutions can continue to connect and guide and lead us in action. So table captains, this is your moment. You know what to do. As those envelopes come around, I invite each of you to consider what your offering properly is to be. Some of you will be making those $1,000 offerings. But everyone has an important offering to make with your heart, with your imagination, and with your generosity. We can achieve our $200,000 goal. Go for it.